This is Diana Sullivan, and I have a new pattern today. This striking dragon scarf is great to knit with self-striping or scrappy yarn. It has really interesting and useful techniques. It has an I-cord cast on, automatic wrap short row triangles, a row with 2 tensions, and decreasing multiple stitches easily and beautifully. The deep textures here were created by flipping the work, which can be done with a garter bar or waist knitting. This pattern is available standard gauge or mid gauge or bulky gauge, and it's a digital download available at www.dianaknits.com. It comes with a step-by-step video with all the techniques. Here on YouTube, though, I'm doing short demos for some useful techniques included in the scarf. Now, on the points of the scarf, there are places where I have bound off some of the stitches in the row, some but not all, and then I've gone on and made another triangle. Well, how am I going to do that quickly and get such a nice looking bind off as that? These bind offs that I was doing were loop through a loop bind offs, and they look really good. So to do that, I'm going to do 2 tensions in one row. Well, I have already knitted my first triangle on my scarf, and to do 2 tensions in one row, what I want to do is put the needles that are going to be the regular tension into hold. So the needles from my mark to the right are the ones that I want to be in hold. And then what I'm going to do is turn my dial really loose to the loosest tension it'll do, which is beyond, looser than number 10. And I'm just going to knit across these few stitches on the left on that loose tension. Then I'm going to put those needles in hold. At this point, all the needles are in hold. So I'm going to move my carriage back to the left. Now, we had knitted over to here. This is where the yarn is coming from. And what I want to do is knit all of these needles at the regular tension, which in my case was 7. So I'm pushing them back. And I'm going to knit across those. At that point, I will have done a whole row, and I will have knitted these loosely and knitted these at the regular tension. Now what I want to do is bind these off and have only needles from here to here. Let's have a look at that area I'm binding off. These needles right here are the ones I'm binding off, and I'm going to do it with a latch tool. I'm going to bring one more needle. I'm using a mark on my needle bed to help myself keep track, and I'm just going to do the loop through a loop bind off here. I catch the first loop on my latch tool, pull that off the end of the needle, and then I pull the second loop through the first loop and the third loop through the second and right on over. Now I use this bind off a lot because it looks like a hand knit bind off, and if you can get that loose row in, then you get a really good tension on it. It doesn't draw up if you can get that loose row. I have a number of ways to do this on other videos, but for this particular project I'm doing this thing where it's part of the row, so some of the stitches have to be looser. Now I'm on the second to the last needle here, and I really can't pull these out very far because right now these other stitches are in the hooks. They're stuck back there. But I can get this one through by pulling the needle back, and then I'm going to pull this one. This is one extra needle. I'm going to pull this loop onto my latch tool and draw it on through so there's only one loop there. put it on the hook, and that way I have those bound off, and I have made my first point on the long side of a triangle. If I zoom out, you can see that this is the long side of my triangle here and the short side over there. So that is how you do a row with two different tensions for the purpose of making a nice bind off. With my scarf finished, I want to show you another look at this bind off in this different yarn, because people often ask me why I use this bind off so much. I started out as a hand knitter, as did many of you, and I like the look of a good hand knit bind off. It has this little chain stitch along the top, so it's a very tidy bind off. Here it is in another color. Just a really nice bind off for machine knitters, and that was so quick and easy to do. Now if you like this content, be sure to like and subscribe if you haven't already, because that helps me to get more viewers from YouTube and show more people our terrific hobby.